Welcome to Cujo Sound. This is Unity and Wwise integrations. Hello and welcome back to Cujo Sound. This here is more about Unity and Wwise and what we're going to do about it. So, to bring our character to life as we are walking around this level here, we would like our character to have a couple of footsteps. Now, if you've been following some of my previous Unity videos, we're going to use exactly the same approach as in adding some events to the animation timeline. It's really important also that we get to know that what are events and how do things communicate between engine and our middleware, in this case, Wwise. How do things actually work when we do so? My point is that I have tried before to work on various projects, and what I've been told by programmers and so on is that we just make an event and then something happens. Or if I watch Wwise tutorials, then they make an event in Wwise and then they say we can just do stuff in here and then we can trigger it from the game. It's really important for us to know what does it mean when an event triggers. By event, we simply mean something that a signal coming from the engine, which is sent to our middleware and says something happened. In case of our engine, what could that be? Before we made these sound events that are covered up here in the lamppost and down here in the burning barrels. These are basically events that play whenever we enter a specific area. As you can see, we mapped up this area here, which is equal to the size of the sound emitter. So an event is sent when we enter this area to start playing the sound, and when we leave, it stops playing the sound. That is an event. What we are going to do with this character here is that we are in our animation timeline going to add some animation events, and we'll get to that, how we do that. But every time such an event is triggered, we make sure that on the timeline it is in sync with whenever he puts his foot down, which means that when he puts his foot down, we send an event called fs_footsteps or whatever you want to call it. And in the code, we tell it what the name of the event is, and then in Wwise, it will know that this is the event to play. So we will add some footsteps to Wwise, and we will add some events to this, and then we will see that these can communicate together. First of all, we just got to make sure that it plays anything at all. And then we will get to how we can trigger the different materials and so on later. But to begin with, we just need to make sure that it triggers something. And if we find our third-person controller down here in the hierarchy here, you will be able to see that there is these things called the animator, the audio, the prefabs, and so on. And here, under 3D models, there is something called the animations, and the base avatar, and actions, and locomotion, and so on. And under locomotion, you will see that there is falling, idle, land, running, and sprint. Select running. And over here in our inspector window, we will be able to see all of the things that is controlling this animation. So if we go down here to events, and if we click here, then we can see the actual animation. Let's just make the window slightly bigger. We can see what's going on. Here's our event timeline. In this timeline, you can't do anything as of yet, but you can in this timeline here. So let's see. The character is moving, and let's say that he puts his foot down around here. Yeah, here. You can then click this little icon here and say Add Event. You name your event, and you name strings and wherever you want it to go. Now, for this to work, the game needs to know what object, which is a script, what script are we triggering this in? My advice is that we have one script that is called character animation script, because VFX and other people are also going to be using this script. So we make one script that is called character animations that we can add to here. We can name this here, which is our function. And the function is, in case you forgot, is these void symbols here, where we can write whatever will happen. So in Unity, if we say that this here is... This is fs character underscore left foot run. Let's just call it that. We don't need to put anything else in apart from attach our script here. So let's start by creating a script. But where does this script need to be? This script needs to be on the character, because this animation is being played by our character, and the animation will only look for this event name within the character. So go to our character here. Here, let's add an event, a component that we are going to call the character animation event script. Events, plural. Good. character animation events script. So let's open that and think about what we need. Here is our script. And right now there's nothing in it. If you don't remember, then void start is what it loads the first time the script is run. Void update is what it runs per frame. And actually, we don't need that at all. And because we don't need something that's run per frame. But we remember that we made an event in Wwise called fs character left foot run start stop parenthesis and curly brackets. This means that this name here, this is the function. This is a function. Some call it a method, some call it a function, others call it a void. Doesn't matter. This is what is being run whenever we in Unity encounter the animation event that we make over here. So let's say that we are running over here. We say there. Good. We add an event, and we copy paste this event name here, and put it here. Good. Under object, in what object we want this to be done in, we click here, then this little folder here will occur, the object selector. And here we can write character animation events and double click it. So now the game knows that it's looking for this event name in this script attached to our character. So let's go back into our code. We have an fs character left foot run. Let's make an fs character right foot run. Here we go. And save that, which means that we can now copy this name, go back into Unity. So we find the point in time where the right foot touches the ground, which is about here. We add a new event, and we paste our event name. Lucky for us, it does remember the script name and everything like that, so we can just apply this. So now, as you can see, we have left foot run and right foot run in our event time. So basically, if he's running, it'll be like left, right, left, right, left, right, something like that. And it'll work pretty much out of the box. Good. So in our code, we need to specify where is this playing from. It's playing from our character here as the event is placed here. So let's start by adding a AK game object here, because then we can register to that. Remember to save once in a while. And let's go into our script here. Good. So on void start, and that's the point in void start, means that it's run once every time the script is loaded. We need it to register our sound object. So AK sound engine, register game object, game object. So simply it registers itself. It recognizes that our game object here with this script on has an AK game object script connected to it here. So in our code here, we need to specify what these names are and so on. And what we're going to do is that we are going to add a public string. The reason why we add it as a string is because then we can change the name of it whenever we want to in here. Because the less we have to go back into code here and fix it, the better. So this public string here, let's call it left foot run equals fs char left foot run, as we called it before, semicolon. We have another one here called public string right foot run, which is equal to the string name fs character right foot run. There we go. Which means that we down here in our left foot, this is the event that is triggered whenever our character takes a step. So here we're going to say AK sound engine dot post event. That means that every time he takes a step, this event is sent to our engine. And what did we call it? We called it left foot run, comma, game object. So it knows that it should play this sound on whatever Audiokinetic Wwise object is registered on this game object, and it knows that this is the event name that it should play. This is the event name that is registered up here in the public string. So this is the event name that we are sending to Wwise when this happens. The reason why we made it in a string, as I said before, is simply because what if we wanted to be left foot run 2? Then we don't have to go into the code here and change it. No, you or if it's another sound designer can just change it in here in the game. So if we go here to our third person controller and take a look at the event script here, you will see left foot run, right foot run. These are the event names. They are already here, meaning that this is the event name that we are sending to Wwise. So in Wwise over here, in our default work unit, we shouldn't have things in our default work unit. So we are going to make a new work unit here that we are going to call character locomotion. The reason why we call it character locomotion is because we also want an NPC locomotion and other things so that we can keep those separated. In here, let's make a work unit called footsteps. So in footsteps, we are going to be creating an empty event that we are going to call fschar left foot run. We can copy paste this and also make it one called right foot run. There we go. Right now, in here, you can see that nothing happens. There's nothing in this list here of what is supposed to happen when this event occurs, but we are going to change that. But first, let's get back into Unity and see what's going on there. Here in Unity, we have set these event names as we just said before, and in our code, we have told it to play AK Sound Engine left foot run whenever it posts the left foot event. And here we say we want the right foot run event name, which is up here, fs character right foot run. So that works. So now every time we run, it should actually post this. A good way of dealing with this is, and to make sure that things work, let's make a public bool called debug enabled, and it should be equal to false. Why is that? That is because then we know that then we can make a Boolean that we can tick in the game and then constantly know, do we know what's going on? So can easily write here debug.log left foot triggered. This means that every time this event is triggered, we should get a notice in the engine that left foot was triggered. But we only want that to happen whenever our debug log is enabled. By that I mean so that we can debug if left or right foot was triggered correctly when we're playing the game. So right now, if we start running in the game, we should be able to see in the console that these messages should be triggered every now and then. And it should also tell us that it can't find the event name because we haven't built the sound banks yet. But let's try and see if we can make it work. It fails to post the event. Fails to post the event. It fails to post the event. But if we head down here to console, we should see here left foot triggered because it probably never plays further than left foot. But that's because it can't find the event name. But now we know that this works. But we don't want this message here to be triggered every time we take a step. And that's why we wrote the debug log Boolean that we can then put in. Because before this, we can say if debug enabled, and then curly brackets, like this. This means that if debug is enabled, if this one is set to true, if this is ticked here, yes or no, then these messages will not occur right now, and if we enable it, these messages will occur. That means that if we later in our process is running around and there's something that we can't figure out why isn't working, we can just simply click debug enabled and it will figure it out for us. So we can write the same thing here, replace this line of code here, and say right foot triggered. Now, all the events that we try to trigger, all these right foot run and left foot run, fschar, left foot run and right foot run, they don't work because they're not in any sound bank. So let's go over into Wwise and build the sound banks, and hopefully we can get rid of those nasty events. In Wwise, we hit F7, right-click on main, build on all platforms, and that's it. We go back into Unity, and now it's compiling. Let's try to press play and see what happens. So we can run around, and nothing is being played at all whatsoever. If we hit escape, we can control the mouse again. If we say debug enabled and then start running, you will notice that right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. And that works. But we don't want these messages to occur all the time, so we can turn this off again. That just means that we have now double-checked that our events are being fired in Unity. Now we just need to make sure that what comes into Wwise is triggering something that we can play with. In Wwise, I have, if we hit F5, you can see our default work unit over here. And we have already a work unit called 3D SFX. We also want one that is similar to the events that we have, so we should have one called character locomotion. And in character locomotion, we create a actor mixer that we are going to call footsteps. We want our footsteps to come out our master bus for now, and our positioning is that it is 3D, and it's 3D spatialized from our orientation, and the attenuation should be, generic 10 meters. That should be fine to the camera. If we hit save, and then I have here in my little folder of sounds here, we have all these footstep sounds. We can drag and drop them into here. There we go. Can press play by checking them out by hitting spacebar. We want all of these to be randomized, so we can select them all and right-click, say New Parent, and Random Container. Footsteps. This means that every time we trigger this container here, it'll randomize between these 10 footsteps. But we don't want it to play the same one over and over again, so we set it to shuffle and avoid repeating the last 5 ones. And that way we know that it will constantly be shuffling around all these, so that we'll never get the same one twice. We won't even get the same one within the next 5 ones. Over here in our events, let's say left foot run, what we wanted to do, this is the event list of what happens when this event name comes in. So footsteps, like that. Right now, we're just going to make the same ones play for left and right. So let's save a little. So now, as you can see, this is the event name that we are triggering, this here. That is now the same as triggering this footstep random container. I'm pressing spacebar here. So if we hit F7, right-click, generate on all platforms, now it's generated. So now, whenever our character runs in Unity, it should trigger this event name that plays these sounds. So let's head over to Unity and try it out again. It's actually an okay sound for now. It's a little loud and we need to adjust it. So if we hit escape and we go into Wwise, over here, F6, and press connect to remote platform. Here we are. Then every time we take a step, we should be able to see that our character, this is when we're taking steps. If we transition, and now I'm moving in Unity still, you should be able to see the events pop up on the left, and you should be able to see on the right that the footsteps are playing. So if we say disconnect, we can always move the timeline here and then see what is being triggered. So here we can see that we have our footsteps here. This is the footstep container. It's triggered at this specific moment. the footstep random container, and this is the footstep entity, the instance of version 6 that it was playing. If we scrub a little here, you'll be able to see now it's number 10, number 1, number 2. It's changing between all these. If we right click this here, we'll get this window here, which allows us to adjust this. Now, because we disconnected, we can't control this, but let's reconnect. Now, if I move my character in Unity, we should be able to control the volume over here in Wwise. So right now I'm moving the character in Unity. Coming back here, let's turn it down a little. It's way too loud. Minus 12 decibels. Yeah, much better. So let's go back into Unity and you'll see what I mean by much better. Now, if we try to sprint by holding Shift, you will notice that it doesn't play any sounds anymore, but that's because we didn't add anything to the sprint animation yet. But notice how it plays one sound seemingly at the beginning of each cycle of animations. The interesting part there is that for some reason, the run animation is triggered for just a brief moment at the beginning of that. We need to take care of that, but we will do so later. Right now, we just have animation events working. We have made an animation event create an event in Unity that communicates with our code, that sends an event with the same name to Wwise, which we have then made to connect to a random container full of footsteps. So now we can move about and have our footsteps play. That's it for that video. This is how you add footsteps and general animation events. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video, and I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Thank you for watching Cujo Sound. If you want to know more about game audio, Unity, and Wwise integrations, please like this video if you enjoyed it, and hit subscribe if you want to know more. Or head over to patreon.com/Cujo Sound, where you for as little as $1 a month can help me sustain this channel and the time I take off to create all this material. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Cujo Sound and Bjørn Jacobsen signing out.